Okay, guten Morgen, guten Tag to everyone. So, the discussion today would be around the patenting landscape of um, ASG. Then we have to discuss around the stuff of RO, which is not equal to ROI, and reverse osmosis, and why particular technologies which are currently utilized is not solving the problem, particularly in the landscape of India, because the necessity of anything and everything is good food and good water supply. So I'll talk about it. I'll walk you through the landscape. I'll wait for a couple of minutes before we start. If you have any questions, put your questions in the comment box. I'll try and address that. And particularly, I'll try and figure out stuff which I was given in terms of the problem statement I had to solve. I think I have solved it in many ways, but I need a little bit more input so that we can do that in real time. So I'll just wait for a couple of minutes, then we restart. I'm putting myself on mute right now. Okay, we are live now, and I'll walk you through the applications and stuff. If you have any particular questions, put your questions in the comment box. I'll try and address. Um, right now, I'm in the IST time zone. New Delhi is supposed to be in AM 11:52. Okay, we have been addressing the issue or the landscape around the ESG. And when I say ESG is particularly how the planet can be saved, because um, there are zillion protocols which have been breached because of the outsourcing model, whereby a lot of Intel work was outsourced to India, not from today, but perhaps from the year 2000. And today on the timeline, we are in 2025. Now, there is a very important data set, which is the war between the real data and the synthetic data. Synthetic data, perhaps in very simple words, is the data which doesn't exist, but it is being fed to the machine learning programs to create another verse which doesn't exist today. And that is creating a lot of, I would rather say, a fiction in the entropy. And because that fiction is being created, there is a lot of menace because of that data set being shared. And this data set has been shared over the years because of so many reasons. Perhaps United States took cognizance of it, particularly in the landscape of intellectual property rights, because a lot of folks were trained to do menial jobs, but it is a data set which is very well known. When Indian mind gets some good intel, they like to explore. That is how the education system in India has been for the longest time. That being said, that data set has been utilized to create multiple parallel verses at any given point of time. And that is one reason there has been so much infringement of intellectual property rights day in, day out. Even all these international organizations which came into existence couldn't prepare the protocols well in advance, because their understanding of intellectual property rights is totally different from the real understanding of intellectual property rights. This particular year of 2025 is devoted to copyright and the other stuff. Rather than, changing what has been changed already, what we can do is go back to the roots and understand the essence of what copyright is all about. And then we start building something on that particular framework. Say, for example, I'll talk about one technology, which is reverse osmosis. Now, what are the disadvantage of reverse osmosis, and why these companies which are breeding ground? So the innovations which don't work anywhere in the world, whether it's food related, whether it's, you take any of the sectors, I'm not getting into the sectorial, bifurcation. Whatever is not accepted in the world is dumped as garbage in India. It is not that India needs to file zillion patent applications to show how intellectual India is, because India is intellectual not from today. You go back to the historical data set. If you look at that data set, India is much more, I would rather say, intellectually evolved. It is just because of the dynamics of the politicians over the years. India has come to a position where these data sets are not being discussed, but when the previous governments took money from World Bank, that is when, when you start taking loan of any sort, that is when, things change. And when you give somebody free money without even understanding in terms of the fiat currency or the stable coins, it is going to cause menace. To obviate this framework, this another framework was developed, or I would rather say zillion framework were developed so that the capitalistic way of the world, the way the world should work, still remains intact. Although intellectual property rights is territorial in nature, everything is copyright. And that is one reason, if you're copying somebody for whatever reasons, you would be penalized by the smart contracts and the DAOs. And DAOs are decentralized autonomous organizations, which has nothing to do with the law of the land, because law of the land is not applicable when you're talking about a DAO. And there's a zillion DAOs in the world. What is important right now is you need to have, or go back to your contracts, anything and everything, your MOUs, your NDAs, your X, your Y, your Z, A to Z. Start scratching your head in terms of writing definition section. You need to have close-ended clauses. I have been very vocal about it for last, 8 9 years. I know what it feels to be in a dispute. I know how to resolve a dispute. I know how to handle situations where you are put in a situation where not only your back is pushed against the wall, you are done and dusted. You are like, you are atomized in a way where you are sinking in everything. And particularly when you talk about intellectual property rights, right now merchandising value is zero. Why merchandising value is zero is there's so many brands, we don't need it. I mean, if I have to talk about one brand which definitely is not paying me anything, is Lakme. Lakme products, if you see recently, I was taken aback. I mean, I have gone back to Lakme. Those were the years in your 80s and the 90s. We used to have Lakme, and that particular product or the product range is more than enough, which will take care of your, skin conditions and all. All of the products which are of any country, whether they say, we are sustainable, see, utilizing plastic and creating bottles out of it is not a new process. What is important is, if you're talking about sustainability, please don't, you need to have, okay, we will just manufacture these many bottles, that's it. Then the next refill, like the company Dettol is doing, is just give refills, and give refills in a manner, maybe 5 liter, whatever works. And that has to be biodegradable. The collection has to be at the point of contact. The collection cannot be another business model, because to handle this country, particularly India, where there are so many languages, there is so much chaos, but still the country is intact. So there's a reason why the country is intact, because each of us help each other the way we can, not monetarily. Even whatever I'm talking about is a kind of a philanthropy. I mean, how many people know what I know? So that is what the intent is. If you have real questions, ask those burning questions to the stakeholders. Don't think that money is going to resolve the issue. There's so much free stuff in the online world. Upskill yourself, be part of this gig economy. That's the only way out. However, if you're part of any of the organizations, go back to your contracts and see what has been done. I'll give you one example. These Reliance people, their employees, they came to your city, and these people were inventors. And this is particularly when I was back from Geneva from the working group work of telecommunication, and they said, pretty, Reliance people don't hear us out. We, our innovation is doing XYZ or whatever they're doing. And I said, see, I can't help you out, because you're part of the organization. You have to see how you want to, resolve your issues. So the telecommunication sector needs to, revamp their intellectual property rights, or I don't know what was the intent. The intent maybe might be uh, Reliance coming to me, and because at various instances they have tried to contact me for writing the applications and stuff, but I already wrote the framework not only for 5G but everything way back from 2007 to 2010, and we are on the timeline of 2025. So uh, it's a difficult situation, but this is the reality of the situation, and this is what my submission is. We have to go with the real data. All the data set provided by all these companies, particularly Reliance, Geo, and all, that is fake. And with fake input data, we cannot solve any of the pressing issues, neither for India or for the world, although there is a lot of big data right now. Thank you for watching out the video. Have a great day ahead.